Imagine a Middle East where the concept of a nation-state was never invented. The landscape isn't carved up by military borders or religious dictatorships. Instead, it's a vast, interconnected network of independent city-states, governed by ethics rather than the decrees of a central despot. In this reality, the government is invisible. Society functions through decentralized blockchain protocols and algorithmic justice based on ancient codes of conduct. There are no presidents to corrupt and no parliaments to lobby. Because this region avoided the centralized boom and bust cycles of empires, its intellectual growth never stalled. While our timeline saw the Middle East ravaged by conquests, this version of Jerusalem spearheaded an industrial revolution in the 1100s. Citizens here view the idea of a supreme leader as a historical curiosity, a primitive error that most of the world outgrew centuries ago. They are free agents in a global mesh network, not subjects of a crown. This futuristic vision serves as a clear window into the potential path of a society that prioritizes decentralization, a trajectory that ancient Israel was already exploring before a single strategic error aborted the timeline. To understand how that trajectory was lost, we have to look at the historical baseline of the year 1020 BC. During the Judges era, Israel functioned as history's first sophisticated mesh network of power. Without a capital city, autonomous communities operated through shared ethical law. This lack of a central hub made the nation incredibly difficult to conquer. Total collapse of the system was impossible. The prophet Samuel held the authority to codify this decentralized freedom into a permanent civilization. Instead, he became the architect of its destructions. By 1020 BC, Israel was facing a crisis of confidence. The Philistines were a constant threat, but the real pressure was internal. The people came to Samuel with a specific demand. They wanted a king to judge them like all the other nations. The crowd wasn't actually looking for security. They were looking to outsource the burden of their own defense. They wanted a figurehead to take responsibility for their wars so they wouldn't have to. Samuel viewed this demand as a personal insult because the people rejected his sons as leaders. This bruised ego prevented him from seeing the moment for what it was, a chance to double down on the unique system he had inherited. A true strategist would have used that influence to purge the corrupt elements of the priesthood and formalize Israel as a meritocratic confederation. He had the divine veto power to force the people to grow up and accept the responsibility of their own freedom. By yielding to the crowd's anxiety, Samuel executed a strategic capitulation that traded a revolutionary social structure for the hollow safety of a monarchy. Samuel finally caved to the intense pressure. He took a tall, handsome farmer named Saul, a man already showing signs of psychological instability, and poured the anointing oil over his head. In this moment, the resilient mesh network was pulled into a single point of failure, tethering the tribe's strength to one man's mental health. This massive vulnerability meant if the king lost his mind, the nation lost its direction. Flexibility became a rigid throne. Samuel didn't just choose a bad leader, he built the cage that would house 3,000 years of global state tyranny. The historical results were predictable. A centralized Jerusalem eventually became a target that Babylon and Rome could and did obliterate. A decentralized Israel, hiding in the rugged mountains, would have been a logistical nightmare for any ancient empire to occupy. The economic cost was even higher. Generations of wealth and intellectual energy were poured into dynastic wars and the building of monuments to royal egos, rather than into trade, science, and the development of the law. There is a recurring geopolitical trap here. Copying the structures of your rivals is a shortcut to losing your competitive advantage. Lasting power comes from maintaining a system that is so unique and resilient that your enemies have no way to interface with it, let alone dismantle it. The modern world still operates in the shadow of Samuel's mistake. We continue to bow to the symbols of centralized power, flags, borders, and the cult of the strong leader, as if they were natural laws rather than ancient errors. Modern democracy is often just a refined version of this same failure. It frequently functions as a 51% mob rule, where people still look for a centralized authority to solve their problems, rather than building a consensus within their own communities. Samuel's error was rooted in a fear of uniqueness. He saw the potential for a completely different kind of society and threw it away because he was afraid of what it meant to be truly different from the neighbors. Real leadership doesn't provide the easy comfort of a king. It demands the heavy, daily responsibility that comes with being truly free.